Hello, football fans, and welcome to the Nebraska Football Shrine Bowl preview show presented by the Nebraska Rural Radio Association, NEB Preps, and its Strive. I'm your host, Tyler Cavalli, and today we'll give you a rundown of the June 4th game in Kearney and an in-depth scouting report of the North and South teams and the players they're comprised of. We have a panel of experts from across the NRRA, NEB Preps, and its Strive. We have Parker Siza out of York. We have Joel Janacek out of our station at KTIC in West Point. We have Chris Cottrell, who is joining us from KNEB in the Scottsbluff area. Mike Sauter is also joining us of NEB Preps and his Strive. And Jason Jorgensen, who will have the play-by-play action of KRVN as well, will be joining us shortly. We'll hear from each of the experts who have seen a lot of these players at some points, maybe not necessarily covered them every single game, but have seen them probably at some point, whether they've been playing one of the teams that they have covered, and will give us a preview of them here in just a moment. But the 64th annual Nebraska Shrine Bowl will kick off at 6 p.m. Central from Ron and Carol Cope Stadium on the campus of the University of Nebraska, Kearney. And if you are new to this game, the Shrine Bowl of Nebraska is the state's most prestigious high school all-star sports event. The event raises funds and awareness to benefit Shriners Hospitals for Children. Reminder that the game will also be broadcasted live across the stations of the NRRA. So let's get started with our scouting reports. Let's head to the eastern side of the state with Mike Sauter of NEB Preps and his Strive. And, well, Mike, you have a lot of kids that are from the Lincoln, the Omaha area. I know that you have seen a lot of these student athletes. These are obviously all seniors. A lot of the coaches from the South and the North teams as well are from that area. Who are a couple of these guys that really stand out to you from, let's start with the South team.
Yeah, South team, I guess I'd go in alphabetical order. The one guy that not a lot of people saw play, he's a linebacker. Actually, could play linebacker or fullback, but he played center for his high school, linebacker and center for his high school team, is Jace Ballard from Boys Town. He is quiet, confident, hard tackler, all of those things, really smart, instinctive. He is a guy that I think will impress the coaches throughout the week of practices and whatnot, but also in the game. He will make some big plays. He is a really good linebacker. Moving on down the list, Trevor Brown, obviously one of the state's best linemen this year from Waverly. He is committed to North Dakota State or signed with North Dakota State. He's going to go play football for the Bison, which they've turned out some pretty good players recently. Trevor's just a heavyweight champion wrestler, so he'll be another guy that should have a nice game. Tommy Conley from Omaha West Side, another really solid, tough linebacker, undersized kind of linebacker guy that had a really nice season for West Side. And if you're looking for a kick returner, wide receiver, jet sweep, motion kind of guy, Cale Consbrook from Norris is one to kind of keep an eye on. He is really fast, straight line fast, and all of that. So he's definitely a guy. Moving down the list, sticking with lineman, Gage Griffith from Aurora, all-state lineman. One of the best shot putters or throwers in track, really strong physical guy. Maybe they'll kick him to the inside to play guard, but he played tackle for Aurora throughout his career and is a two-time, if I believe that's correct, two-time all-state selection. Grant Guyette from Westside is a sure-handed wide receiver. Cooper Hausman, probably more of a safety, another speed track guy that played quarterback for Norris. Clyde Hinton, tough tackler for Plattsmouth. Corey Hollinger for Cross County. They made it to, obviously, the state championship game. Big, strong guy. Marley Jensen, another linebacker. There's a theme here, I think, with this team, with just tough linebackers. And then in Lincoln, and another one that didn't get kind of mentioned that much this season back, but Jack LaRue from Lincoln Lutheran, big, strong, lengthy defensive end kind of tackle. I think he'll probably play a little defensive end. Again, speed, Rashad Madden from Ralston, 400 and some yards a game, like in a game, broke records, started his high school career, an 11-man in Class B. Rashad Madden can really run and really run fast, and he's got kind of that circle button on, PlayStation games or whatever the games kids play now. Like he's got a spin move and he can make you miss. Another big linebacker, big running back that if they need a short yardage run is Christian Nash from Millard South. That's without getting into everybody. That's Austin Soul, another kid from Plattsmouth, is another guy that can make some plays and can tackle some people. So Billy Stevenson, a shorter wide receiver, sure-handed kind of catcher guy. Evan Shepard's a nice player too from Ashland Greenwood. And then one guy, Joshua Shaw from Sandy Creek, is a pretty impressive, just looking kind of human, big, strong guy, interior lineman for the South team.
Mike, how about the north side? There's also a big contingency of players from the Lincoln-Omaha area as well. Who's kind of really stood out to you?
The one kind of that stands out is, Vince Genotone from North Platte is really obviously stands out. I mean, just a freak of an athlete. Ran a 10.5 in the district track meet and got third place. I feel sorry for him because he ran a 10.500 and got third in districts, which is remarkable for a person of his size. But Braden Cheney from Gretna. Braden played on their state championship team. He's a wide receiver, cornerback. He can make plays. He's super smart, really instinctive as a defensive back. Obviously coached really well throughout his career. His teammate, Mick Huber, strong runner, tough runner, short yardage runner. Mick's also a really good linebacker, middle linebacker guy. Orlando Hernandez can get after the passer from Omaha North, the defensive lineman. He was one of their key guys on the line for Omaha North this year. He will turn some heads as well. Isaiah Daniel is another one from UTAN that can really go and can run, can play safety, can play running back if they need him to. Little bit of kind of multifunctional guy. Will Hubert is a pass rusher from Papillion La Vista. He is committed to walking on at Iowa. So he is on the team. And then the guy, if you follow Class B football at all, Dylan Mostick, I'm pretty sure he'll play running back for this team. And I don't know if anyone else will have a chance to touch the ball because Dylan can really run. We saw that with his record-breaking performance all year. Really tough runner and super fast, another track guy. A couple of linemen on the list. Jake Steer from Bennington. He's committed to Wayne State. Chase Simons, which I'm sure our good friend Chris Cottrell will get to from Scotts Bluff, is a really tough kid that can get to the quarterback as well. And Adam Van Cleve from Lakeview is all-state kind of safety guy for them.
All right. Looking forward to it. That is Mike Sauter of Strive and NEB Preps. Mike, thank you very much for a scouting report of the Lincoln-Omaha area kids for the North and South teams and also the coaches. Let's transition now to Joel Janacek, who is out of our KTIC stations and covering Northeast and Eastern regions of Nebraska as well. Joel, there's a lot of big-time athletes here as well, primarily for the North team. Who really stands out to you?
Yeah, Tyler, hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. So don't have as many guys as Mike does, but we have some good core ones that from the schools that we cover in particular, and then a few guys from the area that we'll talk about that we've kind of seen. Going to start off with RJ Beyer from Howells Dodge. And, well, you talk Howells Dodge, you automatically think football, great things that Coach Spears has done over there for a long time. And RJ Beyer, was part of a group of seniors this year that came in as freshmen and immediately had an impact, and it culminated in a state championship for the Jaguars this year. And RJ Beyer, a big part of that on offense, 8 catches, 165 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And in Mike Spears' offense in one season, 8 catches, 165 yards, and 3 scores is a lot. Also, a big contributor on defense, 54 tackles, 5 for a loss and a sack. That's a championship this year. RJ, great kid, big key member of the basketball team as well. And a really, really great, kind of sad and touching story. RJ Byer, his father passed away 2 years ago to cancer. And a teammate of his, Blake Sindelar, also lost his father to cancer when he was much younger. And shout out to the NEB Preps guys. They did an incredible story on RJ and Blake. I believe it was in January. Definitely recommend reading, going back and checking that out. So RJ Byer follows Dodge. And we have Logan Booth of Logan View, who is an incredible athlete, linebacker, 108 tackles this past season, 57 of them solo, 20 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, also qualified for state wrestling and placed. And he's one of those kids that you say, if you could build a linebacker from the bottom up, he would look like Logan Booth of Logan View, who is going to go on to play football at Southwest Minnesota State in Division II. So he'll be a lot of fun to watch. Carson Thompson of Oakland Craig, great all-around athlete, can do it on the football field, on the basketball court, and qualified for this year's Boys State golf meet as well. So one of the main targets, catching the football for the Knights. He had 37 catches in his senior campaign, 675 yards, 5 touchdowns, had 900 all-purpose yards. Also 20 tackles on defense, a couple tackles for a loss. Part of the Oakland Craig team that won a state championship in 2019 and the semifinals in 2018 and 2020. And again, Carson Thompson, one of those kids that's just a great all-around athlete. And those are the kids that we cover a lot in our immediate area for the schools that we cover. We have a couple more in the area that we've seen. Parker Kruzmark of Stanton, quarterback for the Mustangs. Got to see them a couple times this year. Another great athlete, looks like an athlete, passing the football, 862 yards, 6 touchdowns this year. Also carried the ball 107 times for 745 yards and 15 touchdowns. Can do it defensively too, 63 total tackles, 46 of those solo, and picked off 8 passes this season. Parker, one of, I believe, 4 Stanton Mustangs that are going to go on to play football at Midland next year. Including teammates on the north, Camden Dusatko, who is a freak on the line. He's going to go play at Midland as well. Great on the offensive line, can do it on defense as well. 32 solo tackles, 59 total, 7.5 sacks, and a fumble recovery. And this is a Stanton team that kind of had a resurgence the last few years, reaching the quarterfinals in 2020 and the second round in 2021. And a cool fact about Camden, like we said, he's going to go on to play football at Midland as well, but just recently set a new school record at Stanton in the hex bar deadlift at 600 pounds. And It was a cool video to watch. And that's a lot of weight. I think he's going to do nice things. It'll be fun to watch him, at during the Shrine Bowl and in college. And a couple other guys real quick. Jarrett Boggs of Archbishop Bergen. They had a great rivalry with Oakland Craig the last few years. Maybe one of their main ball carriers, 751 yards, 12 touchdowns. Also caught for 203 yards, 3 touchdowns. Had 100 total tackles defensively. Part of the state championship team this past year, runner-up in 2020. And then Jarrett Boggs is going to go play at Doane, college football Doane. And then Colton Fritz of Pierce, defensively, 43 total tackles. Was a part of the state championship team in 2020, and then runner-up finishes in 2019 and last year. And Colton Fritz is also going to go play at Midland. So those are pretty much the players that I've seen from our area here anyway.
Joel, was there any one guy that really took to the next level, took that big step from their junior year to their senior year that may have helped them get here onto this North team here for the Shrine Bowl?
I would say Logan Booth of Logan View. I remember talking, before this season that it looked like he had not only a glow up, but a grow up as well. Just, he has that body type, reminds you of like an AJ Hawk or a Clay Matthews, just, looks like a linebacker. And, RJ Byer for Howells Dodge has had that steady progression that I think culminated this year. Last year I think was maybe a coming out party for him. This year was, hey, I'm here. But I think the guy that was definitely be the one to watch from our area anyway would be Logan Booth of Logan View.
Okay, very good. Well, we look forward to it. Thank you for your scouting report of the North team and Northeast Nebraska. Again, that is Joel Janacek from our sister station out of KTIC in West Point, Nebraska. Let's now turn to Parker Siza, who's the sports director at KTMX, KAWL stations in the York area. Parker, you have a little bit of both of players from the North squad and the South team. Let's start with the South team. A lot of kids from the York area, from Cross County, Aurora. I know some of them have been touched on as well. Beatrice area as well. Give us a scouting report from the South team.
It's interesting with Cross County and Aurora, two teams that made the state championships this year, but fell to their opponents. But one guy locally here around York is Gage Griffith, the offensive lineman from Aurora, 6'2", 280 pounds, very physical offensive line. I think if you ask the coaches there at Aurora, what's really led their offense throughout the season, it was Gage Griffith kind of leading the way there. Very, very powerful and very physical, and helped them to a 10-3 season. So he'll be there at the Shrine Bowl. And Corey Hollinger with Cross County, Mike touched on him a little bit. A tight end commit to the Yotes up at USD, meant a lot to that Cross County team, I think, throughout the last couple of years, and just a great player on both sides of the ball for Cross County. Some other local guys, Matthew Davis from Sutton, I saw him on that list, on the roster, I should say, first team All-State linebacker. One of 3 Concordia commits from the Sutton Mustangs. I think he's joined by Paxton Olson and Jesse Herndon there, who are going to be going to Concordia. So we here at Max Country, as the home for Bulldog sports, will be following Matthew for the next few years. Marley Jensen from York's a really fun story. I heard Coach Glenn Snodgrass talk my ear off about Marley Jensen and just the leader that he was and what he meant to York. He is not going to be playing football anywhere next year. This is going to be his last football game. He's going to Florida Gulf Coast to go to the PGA management program. So that'll be good for him. And certainly just a great leader, great all-around player, really good build too. I think 5'9", 180, something like that there for Marley. And he's got a good build. Other local guys around, this might be a little more toward Jason, and you guys are at KRVN, but Tyson Denkert from Kennesaw, massive workload for him throughout the last few years as the running back. He became, I think, the 56th player in, I should get that right, I think 56th player in Nebraska high school football history to get 5,000 yards throughout his career. And then other guys really around the area on this South team, Caleb Jones from Beatrice, Elliot Juergens from Beatrice, Isaac Krotzel from Cree, Riley Marsh from Waverly, Seth Strutzman from Milford, pretty powerful player, and Andrew Walke from Palmyra. Just some guys that I've seen around here, and obviously a couple on the north as well.
Elliot Juergens, does that happen to be the brother of the former Husker, now Philadelphia Eagle Cam Juergens, or a relation?
I believe so. I believe there's got to be some kind of relation. I don't know the name too well, but it has to be. Any Juergens in Beatrice, I think they have to be related.
I mean, the odds are there in favor of that, I suppose. How about the North team in your area as well? Again, the Max Country, the Cool Radio area as well. I know you have several kids from whether the Grand Island region, Aquinas Catholic, that you guys have covered, or maybe you've seen at some point in the last several years.
Getting word, by the way, with the Juergens, second cousins, too. So there is a relation there, second cousins. On the north side, Cale Jensen from Central City, kind of a close guy. He's a North Dakota State baseball commit. One of the best, I think, baseball prospects to come out of this area in quite a long time. So he certainly stands out. Obviously, a really good athlete, too, being on the Shrine Bowl squad. So, and then Blake Thompson from Columbus, you have him on that north team. Devin Borchers from Columbus SCOTUS. Right there as well, 2 guys from the Columbus area.
Anybody that you really have an eye on that is going to make a big impact in the Shrine Bowl?
I'm really interested to see what a guy like Corey Hollinger can do. I'm excited, too, to see what he can do at South Dakota, being a tight end commit. He really just has that look of a tight end, really powerful-looking player, and I hope he can do some good things.
That is Parker Siza from our stations in York and from Max Country and Cool Radio. Parker, thanks again for joining us. Let's head now to Central Nebraska, where we'll hear from Jason Jorgensen, who actually will have the call of the 64th annual Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Jason, you've seen some of these area kids, whether it's been in the Cozad area, the Kearney region, Southwest Nebraska. throughout their career. Who really stands out to you as we break down the roster for the North and South team in the area?
Hey, thanks, Tyler. Well, we've got a handful of kids from Central Nebraska as usual. Of course, if you go with the 880 footprint, you could probably grab about 20 or 25 of these guys and say they're in the KRVN listening area. But one of the players I am really interested in seeing playing in this one, and having done the Shrine Bowl now for about 20 years, I like to see how the smaller high school guys do. And one of the real dudes in this game from Kennesaw is Tyson Denkert. He was just an animal last year for Kennesaw, helping to lead them to their first state championship. He's a wonderful player. He's headed to Midland, and he's one of the guys I think a lot of people would show up, like to see what also happens. Also, some other local kids in this one. You have Jake Masker, who had a wonderful career at Kearney Catholic. He knows all about these type of games with a couple of brothers who are also collegiate athletes. Parker Wise, a three-sport athlete from Kearney. He'll be playing his final game at Cope Stadium. And then a couple of other players that are certainly worth mentioning. I want to see how Jacob Weatherly of Cozad plays in this game. Here's a kid who could have played college football if he wanted to. He was a multiple-year starter for the Haymakers, a wonderful safety, hard hitter for a kid who's not that big of a player, and also a very good athlete. He scored more than 1,000 points in his high school career with the Haymakers. So plenty of local guys to come see, but the Shrine Bowl coming up on June 4th.
Jason, you've been doing this for, you said 20 years now, and you've done it in Lincoln, in the Crete area, and now here in Kearney. Obviously, it's about not just the kids that are playing and the coaches, but it benefits the Shriners as well. Talk about your experience over that amount of time.
It's been interesting to see this game evolve. Of course, the real meaning of the game has not changed in the more than 6 decades since this game was started. But when we started first calling the Shrine Bowl, it was a night game at Memorial Stadium. There was one year that the game was played over at Seacrest, a night in which it was in the mid-90s with a wind from the south at around 40 miles an hour. Then when they couldn't host the game in Lincoln anymore and moved to Kearney back in 2013 and had a great response. And now as we get set for another Shrine Bowl in Kearney, it'll be a night game at Ron and Carroll Cope Stadium. So just kind of evolves with time. The Shrine Bowl, of course, does a great job of putting on this game, and all of the money raised benefits the great Shriner hospitals from across the country. The one thing I do wish still happened, they're unable to make the trips to the hospital anymore like they used to, and that was just a great time to get on the plane with the guys, whether we went to Chicago, St. Louis, or Minneapolis, and the players and the coaches really would get to see the hospitals and how things work. But they still do a great job of bringing a little bit of that back to the players. They get a chance to have some time with the patients of the hospital. So they still get a little bit of it, but it's a great game, and we're certainly glad to have it along again on the Rural Radio Network.
All right, thank you very much, Jason. Again, Jason will have the call of the 64th Annual Nebraska Shrine Bowl. All right, let's head all the way out to the Nebraska Panhandle. Chris Cottrell, who is the sports director at KNEB. Chris, you have primarily kids from the South team and primarily from the Scottsbluff area, but Chadron also, can't forget about them in that area as well. Who really stands out to you?
Yeah, Tyler, hey, appreciate you hosting this program. Great to see Mike on board as well. So not all that often we get to get all these sports guys from the Rural Radio Network together. So makes for a good show. Appreciate the time. Yeah, look, I work out here in Scottsbluff at KDB on a Friday night basis during the football season. We cover both Scottsbluff and Gering. I'm with the Scottsbluff Bearcats every Friday night. And that can take us all over the place. The team this upcoming season going to be making trips to Lincoln Pius, Waverly, and York, and it's going to be an outstanding Scottsbluff football team, but we'll be packing the miles on coming up this fall. As far as some of these kids we're looking at right now, Chance Simons and Trevor Schwartz, the two Bearcats. I'll start with Chance, multi-year starter for Scottsbluff. He signed to play at Northwest Missouri State, one of the real Division II powers throughout the country. 6'3", 240. I mean, this guy is just super, super tough. Kind of fits the bill of what you think about when you think about a Scottsbluff kid, to be quite honest. Grew up in rodeo. During the football season when he was younger, he'd wake up on Saturday mornings and be traveling around the region, go from football to rodeo. And so that's the type of toughness he'll be bringing to the table. Also got a very high football IQ. I can remember during the soap scrimmage this past fall, he wasn't dressed, was dealing with a very minor injury. And he and I were just kind of walking up and down the sideline. And If it wasn't his position, he was filling me in on everything about the football team. If I didn't know something already from prior experience or through the coaching staff, Chance Simons was letting me know what was going on. New assignments, very high football IQ, great motor. He has a younger brother, Cord, up-and-comer in the program. Should be a nice linebacker this upcoming season. Stats-wise, 56 total tackles, 30 of those unassisted. Led the team with 11.5 stops behind the line of scrimmage, had 3 sacks and 8 QB hurries. Just a tough cookie. I mean, I keep going back to just the toughness, but that's what Chance Simons is all about. Heading to Northwest Missouri State, they've got some Scottsbluff ties that have come through their program with Austin and Sam Clarkson, the big Clarkson boys. Sam played in the Shrine Bowl a few years back. Simon's a state qualifier this past year for the Bearcat wrestling program, so that kind of covers Chance Simons. Now Trevor Schwartz, and Chance will play O-line, D-line, something like that at the Shrine Bowl. Trevor Schwartz, a tight end, also played a little bit of linebacker, maybe some defensive end, depending on the formation defensively over his time with the Bearcats. Another multi-year starter, another big, tough kid, 6'4", 225. A lot of the same traits that Scottsbluff kids have had over the years. This past year, 314 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. Those numbers pretty solid when you think about a run-heavy Scottsbluff approach that, depending on the Friday night, they might throw the football maybe 5 times at most. Unless they have to throw it more, they're not looking to throw it all that often. They'd like to play action, pound the football, and then sneak Trevor in on a deep passing route. So some of the numbers there as far as the stats were concerned. Trevor, very high IQ kid as well. Academic All-Stater recently at the Scottsbluff Activities Awards Banquet. He had his name called a bunch, not just for athletic stuff, but for some of the academic side of things as well. So, and I think he'll fit in really well with some of the Shrine Bowl traits that they look for, and some of the off-field stuff goes on with the Shrine Bowl throughout the week. I think he'll take very well to that. A guy that's going to succeed on and off the field once he gets to the next level. You mentioned Shadron. The young man is Dawson Dunbar. Didn't watch him play during the football season, but I've seen Dunbar play high school basketball and Legion baseball throughout his time. And they are a sports-driven family. I ran into his mom at Western Conference basketball out here, season opening tournament, and I said, "You're making your last go around." It seems like she's had sons, daughters, and she's been in every gym. She's been in every stadium, at every baseball field, softball field over the years. And she said, "Yep, one more year and I'll be done putting the miles on the vehicle." So shout out to her, I think, for making all these trips over the years. And great family, athletic family. And as far as Dawson, had a great year. Shadron was a state playoff football team. He had a ton of yards rushing. Be curious to see what he can do if he's able to get his hands on the football in this type of environment with kids from all across the state. In my viewing of Dawson, he's always come off as a hard worker, very coachable, and just very strong physically. I think he'll fit in well with the rest of the All-Stars this summer there at the Shrine Bowl. Joel, you guys talked about, Parker talked about some of the kids from Aurora. We played Aurora twice this last year. So be curious to see what some of the kids from the Aurora area can do. And it'll be a good time. We made the trip to play Grand Island Northwest. Sam Hartman's on the roster as well. And he has a Scottsbluff tie. Former Scottsbluff longtime head coach Gary Hartman, long retired from out here and lives out of state now. But he was in Grand Island for the Scottsbluff Northwest game this past fall. And Sam played quarterback, very just tough-nosed kid. So that's another guy I've got a little bit of familiarity with from his time as a player there for Coach Stein at Grand Island Northwest. So I think that gets it covered from what I've seen, and the 2 Scottsbluff kids and Dawson Dunbar up at Shadron, Tyler.
That is Chris Cottrell. He's a sports director at KNEB. Chris, thanks for joining us. So there you have it. There is your outline, your scouting report of most of the student athletes who will be playing in the 64th annual Nebraska Shrine Bowl. I appreciate everybody who joined us here for this preview. It is interesting. It is a unique perspective with these kind of formats that you have all walks of life. You have some kids that will be moving on to a Division I school or some sort of college. As Parker mentioned, you have some kids that this will be the last football game ever. They're going to go on and move on to their second stage of life, whatever that may be. 8-man football players, 11. You have all classes. So as everybody can probably agree that this is a unique format, and it's really amazing to see this all come together. So thank you very much. Again, that is Mike Sauter of NEB Preps and Strive. Chris Cottrell is a sports director out of KNEB in Scottsbluff. Joel Janacek is our sports director, KTIC in the Northeast region of Nebraska. And Parker Sizes, our sports director as well from KTMX KAWL Radio in York. And Jason Jorgensen of a KRVN Radio also joining us as well. We appreciate it. Again, just a reminder, the 64th Annual Nebraska Shrine Bowl will kick off at 6 p.m. Central from Ron and Carol Cope Stadium on the campus of the University of Nebraska, Kearney, and we will have it broadcasted on the stations of the Nebraska Rural Radio Association. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Tyler Cavalli. This has been the Nebraska Football Shrine Bowl Preview Show.